Hi, church. Pastor Jeff here with another Trinity check-in. Of all the lessons I've learned as a parent, the one I'm about to talk about is probably the least surprising. Now, that doesn't mean it didn't surprise me. So, I used to think of summer as a time when things slowed down. You work hard throughout the year. When you're young and in school, summer's the time when you don't have that kind of pressure and you can take it easy for a while. And then in the earlier years of my adult life, it was similar. You work hard through the year, but in summer, everybody's off doing things, so you get to slow down and have a little bit of a break. Well, I'm now at the point where my kids are 14 and 11. They are great kids, and they do so many good things that I am insanely proud of. But therein lies the problem. They do so many things, and they're so good at all of it, and that means driving around everywhere. When Amy and I first, my wife Amy and I first became parents, we both said we are not going to be those kinds of parents who are nothing but a taxi taking their kids. We're going to make sure that we preserve space in our schedule because that's part of what it means to be human and it's part of what everybody needs. Yeah. So here we are. And it turns out that's way harder to do than I ever thought. I've now reached a point in my life that's been building for the past couple of years where summer is all of a sudden busier than the rest of the year. So I've been spending the rest of the year gearing up towards slowing down in summer, and then it doesn't happen. Now, yes, we have a vacation plan. We're going to Colorado for a little while. It's going to be nice, but getting two kids to Colorado is a lot of work too. So where does the rest come from? Now, I was talking about this with my spiritual director, and truth be told, I already knew the answer. But when it's your life and when you're in the thick of it, you don't hear it right away. There are always seasons in life where we don't get to take a break. Parenting is often one of those times. If you're a caregiver for someone, you don't always get a break, even when you need one badly. Sometimes you can arrange it, of course, but you get the idea. There are seasons, or when a tragedy happens to us, we can't take a break from that. So, how do you rest when those seasons come? And the answer isn't perfect. It isn't as good as going to a cool, dark room and closing your eyes for a week, as much as I'd like to. But the answer is better than nothing. And that is that no matter how busy we get, we can always find small moments. We can always find little times. Maybe it's 2 minutes, maybe it's a coffee break at work, but instead of just powering on through like I usually do when I need a break. Instead, you close your door for a minute and you read a book, or perhaps you listen to a song, or just sit in silence, whatever it might be for you. But there's something about even the small breaks that help break up the day and help bring you back that, well, like I say, even if it's not the same as having true rest time, it's at least something to get you through. The key, though, is that you have to be intentional about it. Now, what I usually do is I just hope those times will come, or perhaps I'll notice a down moment and I'm like, oh, things have been a little bit slower today. But yet, by the time I notice it, that moment's almost gone, and I've failed to spend it as well as I ought. So the key is to be intentional, to say, you know what, this is one of those busy seasons of my life. I am going to take 2 minutes to close my door, close your eyes, whatever it may be in your world, and do nothing for a minute, or read a book for a minute, or whatever that kind of rest looks like for you. If you're intentional about it, first of all, you're likely to do it more often, but more than that, you get more benefit from it because you take it more seriously and you're more tuned in to the rest you get, even in that small amount of time that's going to be the only thing you get. It is so important to take those moments, though, in no matter in whatever form they come in. So much so that most people don't realize it's one of the Ten Commandments, and it's the one of the Ten Commandments that I think is least kept. In fact, I know. How could it be otherwise? The commandment, of course, is that you shall obey the Sabbath. Now, you can interpret that as a day of the week, but I think it's equally as good to interpret that as rest. no matter whether that be in your week, in your year, in your day, in your hour, to have a period of time that you set aside to recenter yourself and be all that you can be. It is one of the 10 Commandments. It's listed up there with thou shalt not murder and honor your father and mother and all of those. So, I have a hunch that a lot of our parents here at Trinity are in the same boat I am, running from place to place, busy. If you're like me, much of the time you're in denial about it, saying that it's not that bad. But you know what? We need those moments. We need those moments of recentering, even when we're in denial about just how busy we are. So I hope all of you, whether you're in the thick of parenting or in a different stage of life, will do something to recenter yourself, something to take a break, and be intentional about it so that you can make the most of that moment when it comes. All right. I hope you are well. I hope you are at least getting outside some when the weather is worth it. I look forward to seeing you all soon.